Guitar tips, guitar tips. Just the tips, just for you. Guitar tips. Hello and welcome to Guitar Tips. My name is Adam Levy, and as you can probably see, I'm in bed. It's very late Thursday night, and Thursday is usually when I record my guitar tips to post them on Friday. But this week has been an extraordinary week for me. Lots of travel, lots of gigs, lots of rehearsals, lots of just running around. And here it is late Thursday night, and I just don't have it in me to do a tip on the seventh mode of the melodic minor scale right now, the super Locrian. So I'll save that until next week. And here instead, I'm just going to share with you 3 real-life tips from the road, from this tour I'm in the midst of right now. So tip number 1 is do not change your guitar strings right before the gig. I don't know. Some people like fresh out of the package strings. I personally do not. They sound wrong. They feel wrong. And I know, I have guitar player friends and guitar repair friends, and people will tell me they have different tricks to break in a new set so that you can put them on and break them in and go play a gig. But I don't know. I can always tell when a set of strings is fresh out of the package, no matter how much I try and break them in. And it's just distracting for me. They don't sound right, they don't feel right, they don't stay in tune as well. Best case scenario would be if you have a gig, come home after the gig, change the strings, let them sit overnight, and stretch them out again in the morning. And then by the time you actually need to do something with them, they should be in pretty good playing shape. But for me anyway, better to play the gig on the dead old strings than brand spanking new strings with that new string smell. So at the very least, note to self, and I hope that you'll find this helpful too. Don't change your strings before the gig. Change them after the gig. That's tip number 1. Tip number 2. Be safe with electricity. I sing and play. I'm singing right on a microphone, just right up, getting in there with the microphone. And if you're playing an electric guitar and you're singing right on a microphone, there's every chance that you could get shocked if things are not grounded properly. So what I usually do to test it out is plug everything in and get set up, and then I will hold my guitar by wooden parts only, not touching any metal of any kind, and touch my strings to the mic and listen to see if I can hear a kind of sound, or God forbid, see little blue electrical arcs between my strings and the microphone grill. If you don't see any arcs and you don't hear any weird noises, make sure the guitar is turned up so that you would hear it coming through the amp and or through the PA if there was noises. And I try this a few times, and also try and feel as I move the strings towards the microphone grill, when it touches, is there any kind of magnetic pull, or just anything other than just pure stillness when the strings and the microphone grill make contact. So if it seems calm and everything, then the next thing I'll do is I'll hold my strings and I'll touch the back of my hand to the microphone. A producer friend of mine showed me that years ago. I guess the theory is that if if you do wind up getting shocked, it's easier to pull your hand away that way than this way. I'm not sure physiologically why that would even be true, but that's what I do. And then when I feel really sure about it, then I'll get up on it and start singing. But at the gig I played earlier tonight, I couldn't make it work. I tried flipping the ground switch on the amp. I tried a lot of different things. And the thing that actually worked in the end was unplugging the amp from where it was plugged in and plugging it into the same power strip that the PA system was plugged into, so that all of the power is coming from one source, really. And then after getting shocked on two different amps and everything, once I plugged the amp of the amp that I was ultimately chose to use, once I plugged that into the same power strip as the PA, everything was groovy. The amp, by the way, was a PV Studio Chorus 70, which is not the best amp for what I like to do. It's a solid state amp with two 8-inch speakers, and I don't know. It should not have worked, but it actually worked great. On this tour, I've been using whatever amps I can get. I had a Roland Jazz Chorus JC77 at a rehearsal. Sounded awesome. Maybe that's a tip in and of itself. Just be open. Don't frown upon amps. Plug in, try them out, see what you can make happen. Don't judge a book by its faceplate. And then the last tip for touring is be open to what's really happening equipment-wise and or just situation-wise. I had a gig in DC on Wednesday night, and equipment-wise, I was very lucky. On that gig, there was a Blackface Princeton Reverb, wonderful amp. But the guy who does sound at the club said, "Oh, it's cool if you put it on this stand that tilts it back." And I usually don't like that, but he's a guitar player himself, and he swore it sounded better in that room. And I said, "Oh, okay, I'll try it." And it sounded great, so I was really happy, even though it's not my normal thing. So whatever your, technical things are, equipment-wise things are, superstition-wise things are, try and be open to what, if somebody works a whole lot in one room and they have a pretty good idea of what's going to work in that room, try and be open to that. Don't always force your technical equipment, mojo, superstition stuff onto situations. Sometimes it pays to just be open to listening to somebody say, "Hey, you know what really works in this room? This works." And then you save a lot of time that way. But the other thing about being open to your surroundings is that, of course, on Wednesday night this week, there was a debate, the third presidential debate, which we did not even think about when we booked this gig months ago. And if I had seen that and thought about it, I would not have booked a gig that night. To play a gig in Washington, D.C. on the night of the third presidential debate just doesn't make any sense at all. And, of course, there was not a lot of... there weren't too many people in the club. The people that were there seemed to have a good time, so I'm grateful for that. But, look around, see what's going on. If there's some big thing, it doesn't have to be a presidential debate. It could be the Super Bowl. It could be the Oscars. Anything like that that's going to keep people glued to their TV. Maybe just don't play a gig that night. Play a gig some other night, or play a matinee early show or something. But just pay attention. Look what's happening in the world, and plan accordingly. Okay, so those are my tips from the road. I hope you find them helpful, and next week we will return to the melodic minor scale and its modes. Mode 7 is super Locrian. It's super. So we will we'll dig in and see what it's about melodically and harmonically, intervallically, color, see what we can make out of it. Until then, I'm Adam Levy for Guitar Tips. Stay tuned and take good care.